Well, good afternoon, folks. It's lovely to see you here. I hope you're having a fantastic afternoon. This is my second year at STEAM, and I think the quality of exhibits on display is nothing short of mind-boggling. There's some amazing array of things, so I hope you're having as much fun as I am looking at all the exhibitions and all the displays. My name is Jeremy Williams, and I'm going to talk about building huge spaceships, which is a kind of passion for me and for anyone who's interested in space and building spaceships. This is a bit of a dream for most of us, is to build a giant spaceship one day. So I'm going to talk about some of my experiences at doing this, and more importantly than that, show you some great ships. So we'll start by talking about what one ship is. I'll give you the kind of official definition. And then I want to show you some examples of some of the best ships that I have scoured the internet to find. And that's my real aim, is to show you some of these things. If you don't get stirred up by looking at some of these things and really fired up to start your own, then there's nothing more I can do. I'll share some building tips, things to do, and importantly things to avoid as well, if you want to make it a pleasant experience. And then we'll have some time for questions, I'm sure, at the end. So, what is a ship? Well, of course, any spaceship is a ship. You know, anything that goes on water is a ship. But we mean something very specific by a ship. When you're talking with other kind of space builders and you say, I'm thinking about building a ship, and you put a bit of emphasis on it like that, they all know what you're talking about. You're not talking about a small scale little thing, you mean a giant spaceship. And someone worked out that ship could nicely stand for seriously huge investment in parts. So yeah, you can tell someone thought that backwards, can't you? But it is. Building a giant spaceship is a lot of parts, a lot of time and effort, a lot of cost, but we don't think about that. But it can be incredibly rewarding. And most space builders I talk to have either built large spaceships or say, I'd love to do that one day. You know, I've got some ideas floating around. So, how big? Is there any kind of threshold for this? Well, there is, yes. And it's 100 studs long. So here's our minifigure. Minifigure is 5 studs long, and to scale then, there's that minifigure with 100 studs. So you can imagine, you know, you can have a ship with quite a lot of these minifigures inside. They don't have to fit minifigures inside, of course, but that gives you an idea of the kind of length we're talking about 80 centimeters long. That's not very long. A spaceship for minifigures, which is 100 studs long, is not a big spaceship in the real world. This train over here, if you look at the whole length of this engine all the way back, including the tender at the back, that's probably that same kind of length. So imagine that in space. Well, maybe not that in space, but that's not a big spaceship. If you want to build, you know, Battlestar Galactica or you know, Starship Enterprise to scale, you're going to need a big chunk of this room to do it. So we're still talking about small spaceships, but that's quite an achievement. Now, my experience with this last year was my first year at STEAM, and I showed off a spaceship that was about 60 studs long. I had a dream to get to 100 studs. I've got a friend here who built a spaceship last year, and it was 98 studs long. And everyone said to him, just put an aerial on the front, you know, go for it. And then you'll be over that barrier. And he said, no, I'm not going to. When I break 100 studs, I really want to do so deliberately. You know, I've got good on him. And he did this year. He's built a 100 plus stud ship this year. But I'm currently showing the spaceship, which is about 120 studs long. So to scale there, you can see that in the displays over once we've finished. Now, there is a group on Flickr. Flickr is a website where many of us share our photos, and there is a group dedicated to people wanting to build spaceships of this size. And it's been a bit quiet for the last couple of years. The last few months there's not been much happening on that website until last month. A bit of a craze at the moment is to have a theme for every different month of the calendar, and to try and twist the title so it makes a little bit of jokey sense. And people are doing this too much, maybe. But someone decided that last month, instead of being September, it should be Shiptember. So last month was a competition went out to all the space builders to say, can you build a ship in 1 month? You've got to start it within September and finish it before the end of the month. They're crazy. I couldn't do it in that time. But in last month, we've had several really high quality ships built just in that 1 month, and I'll show you some of them as well. So there's a lot more activity going on. It's very timely to do this. There's a lot more focus on doing this. So let's cut to the chase. You want to see the ships, don't you? That's what I want to see. So let's talk about these. Now, there's two basic categories I'm going to split these into, depending on the scale that you build to. So we'll start off with minifig scale ships. As the name suggests, these are built to fit minifigs in, which personally I really like, because I like all the details you can put in. So here are some examples. This is quite an old one, but still one of the best out there. A guy in the States called Chris Giddens, and look at that wonderful ship. You know, words fail me. I mean, the design of the front, it kind of looks menacing and yet looks kind of clean at the same time, isn't it? Really nice detailing here, some great shape at the back, and of course he's put that in a lovely scene there. Can't you just imagine that being in a film and seeing that? Would you want to watch that film? I would. So a really brilliant ship. Let's switch to the UK. Here's one from a British builder, and it's in classic space colours, even better. These are the colours that I love. I never got to saw this ship. I think it's broken up now, but this was a fantastic ship with little mini ships all the way along the inside that would fly out through the front. Really great design. Let's go back to the States. Here's another one from a really well-known shipbuilder. This guy has built more large spaceships than most other people. A guy called Mike Yoda, and this is called Calamity Jane. It's kind of a cargo ship that's been turned into a warship. So it's got all these yellow cargo pods on there, but it's also got lots of guns everywhere you look, which is maybe no bad thing. But if we're talking about guns, this ship is a gun. The whole ship is one gun, I think, really. That front thing there is a bit like the Death Star in Star Wars. It's designed to be very nasty to anyone in front of it. So this is a great design though. Lots of curves, really good use of colour. It really set the standard, I think. A really strange design up at the top here for this bridge, but really cleverly done. Again, back to the UK and back to British. This is a monster of a ship from Monster of a guy, Lego Monster, who is part of Bright Bricks, exhibiting in the main hall. And again, I never got to see this one. This was before my time, but I wish I had. This thing was so gigantic that these two big fins at the top here actually served as handles. And there are photographs on the internet of Ed holding this by the two handles and swishing it over his head in his garden. Can you believe that? I can't imagine it. But building something that size and then swooping it over my head. But all credit to him. Here's one really influential one. This has stirred up lots of builders to build ships, and me among them. This is from a guy called Daniel Jassin, and we'll see a bit more of the ship as we go through because there's a great inside to this one as well. And let's finish off this section with a truly awesome ship. It's hard to see from that scale quite how big this is, but believe me, this is a big spaceship. Just to illustrate how big this is, the back section, that's just this little bit at the back, when you look inside, looks like that. We've got all those people inside and another spaceship all inside. And I can barely fit a tiny spaceship inside the back of mine. And he's got a spaceship and 100 people in his. And don't you just look at that and just think that's amazing? That could be in a film, couldn't it? These corridors up at the top, little viewing windows. If you don't look at that and think, I would love to do that one day, I cannot help you, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing I can say. So fantastic. But you don't have to build with minifigures in mind. So let's look at some micro-scale ships which are built, imagining that the individuals will be like little grains of rice or even smaller. And again, these split into two categories. First of all, some people try and build on a franchise or a theme like Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica. There are some great examples of this. Here's a great Star Wars inspired ship, huge and menacing. That could fit straight into any Star Wars film, I think. Really great use of colour and a great clear overall shape. And this is one of my favourites for two reasons. One is that there is barely a right angle on this ship. It is all curves all the way, and clearly the guy who built this was clever enough to put lots of translucent bricks in the design, and then put a light source in the middle. And so when you turn the lights out, you wouldn't need a telly, would you? You know, you wouldn't need to go out, you could just turn the lights off and stare at that for hours. That would suit me, I think. Yeah, tells you more about me than you need to know. But what a brilliant spaceship. Here's another one. This was just dropped into the movie scene. This ship, if you're familiar with is actually there in the film, and this is a Lego version dropped in place. But you wouldn't know, would you? Look at that. That could be a still set. Now you're testing me. Was this Return of the Jedi? I think it was. The final battle scene, Return of the Jedi? Star Wars fans? It could be. Yeah. Okay. Or was it a prequel? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's move on franchise-wise. Yeah. Battlestar Galactica. Not the Galactica, but another Battlestar. A really fantastically detailed model. Lots of lumps and bumps all over it. It's a particular favourite of mine. And a very famous one, Serenity, from a chap called Adrian Drake, who's probably built the biggest ship on record, about 600 studs long. This one's not as long as that, but it's a huge spaceship. So some people are building to a recognised kind of design or a theme, and other people just use their own imagination. Here's one of my favourites from a guy called Spacecraft, and deceptively simple, this one. But really nice shape that he's kept going all the way throughout. Lovely put together, lovely detailing with the colour. Some really nice bits of detail up at the top, but really good, solid, unapologetic shape. Here's one that was built last month. If we'd have done this talk 2 months ago, this didn't exist. It was built all in September. Really organic shape there with all of these lovely parts. Most Lego builders don't use some of these parts, but really fantastic. Another one built just last month. Again, unusual organic shape, striking colour, really wonderful design. Here's an old one, but one of my favourites. Looks a bit like a sword, I think, that one. But lovely, beautiful angles everywhere, and again, great use of colour. And then one of my favourites, a legend among space builders, this guy Pierre from France. And you could drop that into a film and not know that that was Lego, I think. It's amazing and full of detail. If you zoom in to the model, you just keep seeing new delights. So this is my main job here this afternoon, is to show you these and let these do their work. If it's working, then you'll look at these and think, wow. You might think about your collection and think, I couldn't do one of those tomorrow. That's fine, but keep this as a dream, and keep thinking one day I will save up some Lego parts and I will raid every piece of Lego I can find, and I will build one of these. So let's say that you think, I'm going to start that tomorrow. Let's talk about some building tips. The first one is to plan. It's a bit boring, but the bigger your spaceship, the more you will need to plan ahead to make sure that it actually works. You can't afford to take too many chances when you're building something this scale. So get some inspiration. Now let me show you what I did. There's a website called Spaceships, which is nothing to do with Lego, but it's artwork from sci-fi fans where they put up their ideas for what spaceships could look like. And I regularly look at this just to see if there's any interesting designs. And a few months ago I was looking at this and I found this spaceship. And I thought, that is beautiful. I love the wedge shape at the front, and it's kind of grey and blue, my favourite colours, and it's long and flat and so on. I would love to do something a bit like that. And those of you who've seen my spaceship over there might recognise some elements there. This is what inspired me to think, right, I'm going to start. So find your picture that really inspires you, or just use your imagination. But then start to sketch it out, ideally. I didn't, and I kind of wish I had done a bit more planning before starting to build. So try to sketch it out. And in particular, something I really wish I'd done is build a solid frame. This goes for any large construction in Lego, not just for spaceships, but anything big, you need a good frame or you will cry. Now, I haven't cried so far this weekend, but we had a show in Leicester over the summer and I very nearly did. I was trying desperately to get my spaceship to fit together before the show started, and it wouldn't fit, and it was cracking apart in all sorts of places, and it's because I'd forgot the basic rule: build a really good frame. So you need to make sure that it is strong and can last, because that amount of Lego weighs an awful lot. Here's someone who did it right. This actually is longer than it looks, but just look at that perfect straight build there, just not sagging at all, and that's what I should have done. There's the Dan Jessam's ship again, and look, the madman, he's got it over his head. I could not do that with mine on display, or it would be everywhere, and I'd have a very different type of display. It would be a ship crash landed on a lonely planet. But that's again because his ship is really well built. So here's an example, again, of a good Technic frame bolted together so that you can hang the rest of it on that. Please do build a solid structure. I will do next time. If you're going to put minifigs in it, plan around them. Now this is where I get a bit geeky, but this really appeals to me. Is think about what they might need. They might be in space for a few months. How are they going to survive? Are they going to have what they need? And I think the best space builders think about this. So back to Dan Jassim again, and this is what inspired me, because when he took all the covers off, I thought, good heavens, he's done it. He's thought about all the things you might need. We've got airlocks and a sick bay in case you get ill, and escape pods in case something goes wrong with the ship. They can grow their own food, they've got storage, somewhere to sleep, and a cargo bay at the back. I thought, if I ever build a big spaceship, I'm going to make sure it's got toilets and bunk beds and things like that, and that's exactly what I've done. So I think it helps. They will thank you for it. If you put your head close to those little minifigures, they will say, thank you for thinking about us. Thank you for giving me a bunk bed. You know, just wait till everyone is gone and the noise goes down, you can hear them say it. Yes, just think about your crew. You will hate it. If you build a big spaceship, you will get to a point where you think, why did I start the wretched thing? And you have to just keep on going. And I couldn't resist this photo, which another guy building a spaceship got to. What I love is that he clearly had this photo taken and then took some time to post it online. But all the respondents kind of thought he was right there at that very moment with a hammer, and they were going to say, no, stop, stop. He didn't do it. You know, he was just feeling a little bit angry, but he's got through it, and it's a wonderful spaceship. But you will feel like this. You just have to get over that and keep going, and know that it will be all right, and it will. And if you really hate it, then get rid of it and start again, and use all that you've learned. So I hope that this has helped you to think about the possibilities. This might be a distant dream if you've not got much Lego. And if you haven't, in the meantime, there's so much fun you can have with micro-scale ships or smaller size ships. But I'm hoping that this becomes a dream for some of you. An achievement that one day you'll be able to look back and say, look at that. Look at all the details. Look at the shape. Look at the colour. Look at the styling. I have achieved my destiny. And that's what we want to do as Lego builders. So I'm very happy to take any questions if there are any. I'll do my best to answer those. We didn't have any questions yesterday either. I'm hoping that's because you're all just awestruck by some of the amazing displays that you've seen. But I'm going to be around for a little while here. We've got our next talk coming up at 3:30, but I'll be here for a few minutes. Please come and talk to me, and then I'll be heading back to my display. So if you've not come over, it'd be lovely to see you. Very happy to talk about spaceships. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thanks.